Just running me, curly yellow dancing on me. Said she smelled a grin on me, and she straight from California. Freaky, yeah, she wanna be. Tell me she like.
What is really good? Welcome back to Sekien Inganock. I missed this visual novel. I missed this. I can't even hold you. I had 3 videos on the back burner for Sekien Inganock. I uploaded them. I couldn't record during that time. Now I can. Let's get it! I finally got the audio levels just right, I think. If the audio levels are not, well, actually, I was gonna say comment if the audio levels aren't right, but honestly, I'm probably not gonna read the comments because I don't want any spoilers on Sekien Inganock. So, I'll read the comments when I'm done, but like, as for now, y'all gonna have to deal with it. Sounds good to me. I bet. Night. In the city of Inganock. We're just checking if my mic is on, everything is on. Yes, sir, we're recording, we're live. I missed this visual novel, man. Let me check my phone notifications. We are good. In the city of Inganock, there wasn't much of a difference between noon and night. The sky was dark and the lower tiers were filled to the brim with people. The city's lower tiers. The third commercial ward, also known as Infinitely Crowded Street. It's said that night never came to this place. The din of people coming and going never left, neither at noon nor at night. If someone was going to sleep, someone else was probably going to walk. There was never any rest on that street. The ruckus was... Holy, that's crazy. So it's like, it's nighttime, but since you can't tell the difference, people are, just hustling in and out of the street 24/7. The ruckus was by far its most distinctive characteristic. You could hear the crowd perfectly fine from anywhere, and it was even louder at night. Laughing voices stained with alcohol and drugs. Weekday or weekend, they could be heard every night. They even drowned out the performance of the roamers. Guy truly felt it. As he walked down that street and heard those voices, he truly felt that the people of the lower tiers were alive. There's never been any other time. Only at night do I ever truly feel that there's life in this city. Except when, yes, when I feel Addie's warmth. Guy focused on the warmth in his right hand. That's cute. That's really cute. The girl's small, white hand. A girl, Kia, was walking beside him. She'd already changed out of her nurse uniform and returned it to her travel case. She was now wearing the same clothes as before. Whenever they arrived at the patient's house, she would change into her formal pink outfit. There was no point to it, but... Old men brought down by tuberculosis and children suffering from high fevers. Their expressions quickly changed whenever they saw her nurse-like outfit. Yeah, I figured. It's like a psychological thing. Were they somehow relieved by it? Appearances made a strong impression on people. The girl's hurried changing wasn't for nothing. It'd be different if you worked at a hospital like Airlee's. But for a traveling doctor who walked around the lower tiers, a clean white coat just didn't fit. A white coat. It must have been years since he last wore one. Then, some weak force tugged at his sleeve. The girl was telling Guy to stop. Alyssa? I knew it! I knew it! It was Alyssa. Opium? Opium den? I never noticed that. They just go crazy with the opium, I guess? No way, man.
きげんようマダム。綺麗なお店ね。あらそう。嬉しいことを言う子ね。何せ私たちは花だもの。見た目で人を寄せつけておかないとね。
A lovely shop is a way to put it. Certainly a way to put it.
仲良くお手手つないで夜歩きの最中。
からかわないでほしい。夜のここを手放しでは歩かせられない。
あら驚いた。
As she said that, the woman's snake belly made a strange noise. She seemed really surprised. A veteran opium den owner, surprised? Why'd I say opium? Opium, oh my gosh. Was there really anything to be shocked by?
雰囲気が少し変わったかしら。ドクター、心なしか普段より人間みたい。まっとうな人間によく似た顔をしてるわ。いいえ、マダム。ギーはどこも変わってないわ。あらあら、なんてしっかりした子かしら。初対面の相手に物おじしないなんて。
So he's kind of like becoming humanized with Kia.
うちの若い子たちにも。ええ、あなたを見習わせてやりたいくらいだわ。お嬢ちゃん、お年はいくつ？もううちの口の裏口から上がれる年。
Hey, yo!
アリサ・グレッグ、悪いね。からかわないでくれるかい？
Alisa Gregg.
この子は一時だけ預かっているんだ。君の店へは置けないよ。
You know he said Alisa Gregg with all the venom in his mouth, bro. Alisa Gregg!
私も冗談くらいは言うのよ、ドクター。お嬢ちゃん、いつか遊びに来なさいな。
Alisa smiled as she said that. Her silent smile made the entire street seem livelier. There was never a night of rest on this street. Any sense of stillness here was unique. The lights were perpetually on, and countless sounds created created a perpetual ruckus.
キーがいいと言ったら遊びに来るわ。ねえ、キー、こちらはどんなお店なの？
Not a good question. A short distance from crowded street, 2 blocks away from the main road, a relatively silent cooperative living street. Among the residential streets of the 7th tier, this place was somewhat peaceful. It had the perfect combination of high values and cheap rent. Cheap apartments in distorted forms. One of those rooms... Guy had pulled on the girl's hand after she'd asked about the opium den, returning them both to his leased apartment. They returned to a place far too large for one person to live in.
ただいま。今夜は奥さんはいないのね。
キーや。
着替えてきます。何か夜食を作るから待っていてね。
コーヒーだけで構わないよ。
作ります。待っていないとダメよ、キー。
あ
はい。
Leaving a small smile behind, Kia disappeared into her room on the 2nd floor. The apartment was small, but the 1st floor alone was enough for one person to live in. Guy didn't use the 2nd floor at all. There were 2 rooms on that floor. He treated both of them as guest rooms. He was probably right to do so. Kia certainly was a guest here. Guy hung his reconstructed coat on the wall, sat down on the sofa, and heaved a sigh. He had no appetite for food or sleep, and yet he felt exhausted. But what about that girl, Kia? She should have been tired of walking, but she didn't act like it at all. She was showing Guy nothing but smiles. It wasn't that a smile was her default expression. Kia was somewhat meek when looking at scenery and buildings. Even so, she's always showing me her smile.
お待たせ。すぐに温かいもの作りますから。
歩き疲れただろう。もうお休み。
ダメ。明日 歌の準備もあるのだし、キーはゆっくりしていて。
She came down the stairs and went to the kitchen. She was probably starting on some packed lunches and breakfast and lunch tomorrow. For breakfast and lunch tomorrow. That nurse-like outfit of hers seemed to be her work clothes. This scene had surprised him at first, but after seeing it over and over again, he got used to it. Kia did these things like they were perfectly natural. She stood in the kitchen with her back to him. Ah, Guy thought. That reminds me of someone else. Someone from 10 years ago. Yes, just like the mother he once lost. Oh! The mother who had always been thinking about the kitchen. The mother that liked cleanliness. His mother had died 10 years ago. So had his father. They'd been attacked by a creature, and the ward they lived in was sealed off even now.
どうしたのキー。
いや、なんでもないよ。
なんでもなくない顔をしていたから。コーヒー入れたわ。即席だけど。
ありがとう。いただくよ。もう時間も遅い。準備はいいからおやすみ。
His whole family died, bro. No. She said that and shook her head.
とはいえ、疲れているだろう。よし。明日は何か外で食べよう。少し懐にも余裕があるしね。
外食。
Her expression darkened a little. She'd been delighted at the engine tavern the other day, but now...
雑踏街の外れにね、揚げ魚のサンドイッチを作る屋台がある。あそこへ行こう。そう悪くない味なんだ。
でも食材。お弁
それは朝食か夕食にとっておきなさい。大丈夫。そんな顔をしないで。ちゃんと食べるから。
当。本当？
本当だと。
今、私聞いてしまったわ。ギーが私の作る料理全部食べるって。嘘じゃないわよね、ギー。本当なのよね。
Look at him. Look at him look off to the side, bruh.
全処するよ。
もう。
Kia pouted angrily. Still, she couldn't really be mad. Her pink eyes looked somewhat healthy. She did seem happy about being invited out to eat. That was enough to make her rest for tonight. She wouldn't allow her small body to push itself too hard. Guy breathed a small sigh of relief. Invited out to eat. How many years had it been since he'd last asked a woman out to eat? He felt like cracking a smile at the thought. He remembered Addie's words. You smiled. What? That's a weird way to put it. Oh, that's nice.
さあ、今夜はもうお休み。明日も早い。寝巻きに着替えるんだよ。あと、毛布はきちんとかぶること。
He said that and stood up. When he did, something pulled at his sleeve slightly. A white hand had grabbed him.
なんだい？
Kia's grabbing my sleeve. Doesn't she want to sleep?
どうかしたのかな、キ
おやすみなさい。
ア。おやすみ。
うん。おやすみなさい。
Why he look like that? I'm seeing a lot of new facial expressions from Guy. The hand wouldn't let go of his sleeve. What was... Before he could ask her if anything was wrong, he had a sudden thought. His mother. The person she reminded him of earlier. His own mother. He couldn't remember her face anymore. But he knew who she was from back when he was a child. The sensation of that white hand, and one other thing. A voice spoke to him, to the person who once said he hated sleeping alone.
そうだな。
He sat back down on the sofa and hunched down so that his eye level matched Kia's.
君はどうやら眠気を感じていないようだ。なら、おとぎ話を一つしよ
おとぎ話？
Her eyes popped open. Was he treating her a little too much like a child?
う。都市行政についての話もいいんだが、あまり面白くはないだろうし。
いいえギー、聞かせて。ちょっとね、すぐには眠れそうになかったから。ありがとうギー。絵本とかキーヤは好きよ。どんなおとぎ話？
ああ。
He had a feeling that she'd ended up worrying about him instead. God damn. Guy opened his mouth. He told her a tale he'd heard from his mother, an old fairy tale that lost its meaning long ago. It was a story about people who knew the color green.
ほんの10年前まで木々の緑の美しさを本当に知る人は多くなかった。それは幻に近かった。大抵の緑色というのはくすんでいて、どこかに灰色の名残があった。どこへ行ってもなかった。インガノックのどこにも美しい緑。これはそんな昔の話だ。
From 10 years ago. A fairy tale no one tells anymore.
まだこの年復活は訪れず、連合首都にも南大陸にも北欧帝国になって旅することができた。10年よりも前にあったおとぎ話さ。ずっと昔、白い巨人に愛された緑の森で、緑の木々から生まれた人々がまず小さないさかいをした。そこに一人の男の子が。
Morning, the next day. In a corner of infinitely crowded street, a boy rushed out from some back alley. He nearly crashed into Guy but dodged at the last second. He was probably around the same age as Mies. Guy handed a few shillings to the shop owner and picked up the bag of sandwiches with his left hand. In his right was Kia's little white one.
いい匂い。おいしそうねギー。
冷めてからの方がうまいんだ。そうアティが言っていた。
あなたは？
うまいと思う。
He answered vaguely and headed toward the monorail station. Guy had no confidence when it came to taste. His cranial mutations perverted the sensations from his tongue. Perverted? You mean prevented? You mean prevented? There was an ascending monorail station nearby. Guy aimed for that one. Well, no wonder you don't want food. No wonder you don't care about food. If you don't taste anything, then I mean, yeah. I understand now. That's completely understandable. His destination was the upper tier staircase. He was going to the first park's tier plate today. He decided to have lunch there before making his rounds.
初めてのデートになるのね。なんだか不思議。聞いたら奥さんがいるのに、どうしてそこへ連れて行ってくれるの？
ふと思い出してね。
Green trees.
夕べの話で
Oh, my voice.
もう随分と長いこと言ってる。あそこはほんの瞬く間だけ憩いを与えてくれる。すべての人々へ。僕はともかく君には休息が必要だ。ここ数日ずっと歩かせてしまった。
もう気を使わないでいいのに。でもギー、ありがとう。
The girl showed him a smile again. The people walking along the road glanced at her warmly. Something was different from the days before. It was as if that girl was melting something down.
どうしたんだい？今日は機嫌がいいね。
ええ、機嫌が良いの。お分かり？
Everyone is depressed and she's like the only sunflower up in this town, bro. They'd reached their destination in 30 minutes. They were going to the enormous upper tier staircase that connected the lower tiers to the upper. The first upper tier staircase park. A place of greenery. Most of the city's air was filled with engine smog. Only this area still remained clear. Water and greenery filled the surroundings. Thriving greenery. The revival 10 years ago had strengthened this place. Greenery so fertile it could resist the toxic smog. Water so pure that it could too resist the toxins. Everything here was unique. It was separated from all forms of filth in the city. Just seeing it puts me at ease. The surroundings people say that... What? The surrounding people say that aloud and sigh. Wait, what? Hold on. The surrounding people say that aloud and sigh. I don't even know how to read that. The citizens were also covered by a gray sky and never saw trees or leaves. This was the sole miracle that had come to them these 10 years. More beautiful than 10 years ago. Clearer than 10 years ago. We can have lunch here in peace. And it'll let Kia have some rest. Would she show him that smile again? Yes, Guy had thought she would, but he heard a mysterious voice. A voice he hadn't expected. That's a voice of admiration. A lake? The words coming out of those small lips, they warmed my heart. There was no sign of it being an act. Kia was simply in awe with the scenery that had entered her vision. A voice of admiration, a sigh. Her gaze sparkled as it moved between the greenery, the water, and Guy. She turned her attention to the cluster of peculiar plant buildings in which the Shellogs lived. What are those? She asked.
あれは植物で作った家だよ。シェロブたちが住んでいる。そう、シェロブ。変異した彼らの習性は昆虫に近いんだ。
そうなの。よくわからないけど、わかったわ。すごいわ。ここにあるもの、すべて初めて。連れてきてくれてありがとう、キー。とっても嬉しいプレゼントだわ。
She's never seen these things? This place? It was the sole place of rest for people living in the lower tiers. Many of the engine factory workers came here during the weekends to relax. For the past 10 years in this cruel city, the 1st through 7th park plates had been an important existence for the citizens' peace of mind. How could she not know that? Kia, a mysterious girl. If anyone else said that, I'd think they were lying. But when you say it, I believe you.
これまでに僕の歩いた層の多くはキーヤは知らなかった。それは感じていたことだ。安全な区画で育てられていたのか。文字通りの箱入り娘が。Or maybe she was the pitiful victim of despair and desire.
Those things gave birth to dark tides in the city's lower tiers. The boys and girls confined by Salem. In this city, it's impossible to say that someone wasn't brought up in such an environment. Or maybe, no, she couldn't be an upper tier aristocrat. He returned his gaze to the girl. At some point, Kia had moved to the water's edge and was playing with some little creature. I can't express to you how much I love this song, man. She's waving her hand, together with a small Shelub child. Kia spoke as if she'd never seen one before, and yet she was smiling. Normally, any human from the lower tiers would be afraid the first time they saw a Shelub. After all, the Shelubs look strange. In both mind and body, they were the farthest from human out of all the fantastic mutants. Complete fantastic mutants. They'd been continually assaulted and boycotted until the city law was renewed a few years ago. Oh my god. The first time, huh? Guy thought for a bit. He nodded a little, but decided not to wave back. A while after that, since he'd already climbed up there, Guy traveled to relatively high parts of the lower tiers today. He used his phenomenon equation to heal the patients living in their own homes, with many rooms and even furniture. These were high standards of living relative to where he came from. The illnesses contracted by the bourgeoisies were weak compared to most of the lower tiers. He didn't have accurate statistics of any sort. That was just his impression, along with the number of severe patients he actually encountered as he walked. They paid well, but there weren't that many. Around evening, Guy ran out of work. The people living in the upper half of the lower tiers were just too wealthy and affluent. Their citizen rights, private property, limits, and food rations were all different from those of the impoverished lower tier citizens below the 7th tier. Oh my god. Despite living in the same city, they were blessed far more than most lower tier citizens, although nowhere near as much as the aristocrats living in the upper tier. A certain kind of elite. They were chosen simply by being born above the 6th tier. Monsters, creatures, mutants, and other powerful beings were here too. Everyone knew the fear and despair of the last 10 years. Nonetheless, it was infrequent for people in those tiers to request healing from an anonymous traveling doctor. They chose doctors from the same tier. Licensed doctors from public or private hospitals. As long as their condition wasn't too severe, they could worry about things like reputation. They were different from people who weren't able to choose at all. They had money and reputation. Their lives were filled with plenty of choices. There was no work to be done there. That was why Guy usually walked through the lower half of the lower tiers. Evening. I'm going home earlier than usual. Oh, this music. You cannot hit me with this music. You cannot hit me with this music. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love this one. Once more to the first upper tier staircase park.
ねえキー、もしもの話、もしもの話なのよ。もしも今日お仕事が早く終わるようなら、もう一度あそこへ連れて行ってほしいの。上層階段公園。
That was when Guy decided that any further traveling would be pointless. Kia whispered her request modestly, moving her gaze back and forth several times between the tips of Guy's shoes and the collar of his cloak. 2 weeks since they'd met. This was rare. Guy had rarely seen Kia make a request like that. That's why I listened to Kia's imploring words.
綺麗。ここでは夕方の空は赤いのね。緑がこんなに赤く、まるで炎のよう。
While silently whispering that, Kia's gaze moved across the red colors surrounding her. Scenery tinged with the evening sun lay out before her eyes. It was the most beautiful thing in the city. The city's sole fairy tale. A story that brought forth beautiful things. The fabled Kikai whispering from behind. The first time Guy had heard about the Kikai fairy tale, this was what he imagined. A red world. A sky overflowing with the brightest of flames. It must be because of our attitude. The evening sky looks nothing like this anywhere else. The upper tier staircase parks. Guy was reborn here a long time ago. On that day, at that time, 10 years ago, Guy was near here when it happened. A higher tier plate than this. The third upper tier staircase park. A soundless world brought about by the roars of collapse. He'd been within the infinite rubble.
思い出すか今
He couldn't remember that time very well. His memories of 10 years ago were already fragmentary. The third park. There was a hospital there.
この音、何かしら。とても綺麗で、とてもどこか悲しげなオルガンの音。
She spoke of a sound. Guy cleared his ears. A sound. A melody. Within the red of the setting sun, filling the surroundings, he certainly could hear a melody. A number of notes put together to create a melody. Was it from an engine-type organ? The wind carried it toward Guy and Kia at the water's edge. However, they couldn't feel its beauty. The sound that reached them was too faint.
聞こえない？なんて儚い。今にも消えそうに。綺麗なのに寂しくて悲しげな音。いや、
No.
こんなにもここは美しいのに、この音がとても似合ってる。そんなの悲しいわ。
Does she hear the organ playing? Like the girl with the green hair we saw at the end of last episode? Playing the organ? Is that what she hears? Ah, that's true. If the melody was one of sadness, it would suit the red beauty well. In the sliver of time before evening, in the world where the brightest flame showed itself for such a short time, it was very sad. It can only be thought of as ephemeral. I don't know how to say that. Ephemeral. Sure, ephemeral. The staircase. So, who's that green-haired girl? Is she like a princess or something? The sound of a clock. Let me save. I have all my saves kind of like written here, so I'm going to overwrite one. This should take a little bit. That's expected. Okay. So is this like the castle? The castle where the prince resides? But why does it look like the, you know what I mean? It's like the velvet room. It's like, why is there such a long staircase? And why does it look so like weird? Is it time? Is it time? It continues to call. The second hand moves. It stops, pointing right at 0 o'clock. It is a pocket watch of white silver. It is a pocket watch carried by one man. The golden spiral staircase towering into the darkness. The man standing at the foot of it is none other than the silver watch's owner. With his master in the corner of his eye continuing to climb the golden spiral staircase, the man continues to gaze at the watch motionless. The man continues to gaze at the watch and speaks, like a chrome-built, machine-wound doll in an inorganic voice.
時間だ。ブラッドツリーとの第一次接触を囲む。盲目の生贄が2つ目の供物を追う。人の思いは旋律に乗るだろう。主、あなたの望んだ時が来た。さあ、演奏会の始まりだ。我らの生贄はどの程度持つか。せめていいや。
What's this about a sacrifice? What is the prince scheming up there, bro? The next day. Today I walked through the lowest tier. A lone traveling doctor. He was seeing things today. It was as if everything had gone back to the way it used to be before he'd met the girl because she wasn't beside him today. No meetings with old friends. No overlapping of eyes and right hands with the 1,000-colored steel him hiding behind Gi even now. What? What? He just walked through the crowd, on a street which held hundreds of thousands. Yesterday he walked through the wealthy 4th and 5th tiers. That must have been part of it. Impoverished tiers made up most of the city. Gi was walking through the regions of lower tiers that held the loudest cries of distress. That reality was all too clear. There was nearly a 30-fold difference in population density between today's tiers and yesterday's. 30-fold, holy. He wasn't lacking in patience here, although he couldn't make much money off them. For now, he had enough money. What he'd earned yesterday normally took a month to save up. I have money, but even so, I'm walking. Doing that is my only duty, and the only way I can live in this city. He walked alone, continuing to search for severe patients. He'd perform substitute healing alone. He would do it all by himself. He told Kia to watch the place while he was gone. He wanted to avoid exposing her to unnecessary danger since today he was going to the lowest tier to heal an exceedingly bad case. More importantly, he didn't want her to see it. There were too many horrible things there. What don't I want to show her?
治安とはいえ無限雑踏街も十分に悪いな。
Infinitely crowded street. There were very few dangerous monsters around, but there were countless robbers and drug dealers. Even so, he was in the lowest tier. Monsters still killed people, and drug gangs still perpetuated violence and exploited the poor. Almost 3 hours since he got off from the monorail, and Guy had already seen 10 cases of people wounded by monsters. 3 of them died. He couldn't bring Kia with him. No, that wasn't it. He didn't bring her today. He'd been too frivolous yesterday. That was why he'd gone to a place filled with death. Guy wouldn't allow himself to stand still today.
怒っているかなキーヤは。
ひどいわ。一人きりにさせて自分だけで歩いて。
Yeah, she's mad. She puffed out her white cheeks, all alone in the middle of the room. She woke up to an empty apartment that morning. It was almost midday. She'd already aired the sheets and cleaned up the place. There was nothing left to do. Kia puffed out her cheeks again. A room with no one in it. A note had been left on the table. Its message was short and frank. Watch the place while I'm gone. That was it. There was no doubt that he'd left long before the sun was up, far earlier than usual. He'd promised to eat the breakfast she made. Did he forget already? The thought saddened her. She hated being left behind, even though she knew she was of no real use in his line of work. She felt angry and sad. She hesitated for a bit. Should she cry or get mad? While hesitating, she ended up doing the latter. She puffed out her cheeks once again.
書き置き一つだなんてひどいんだから。もう。
Chill out. She picked up the note. For a moment, she thought about throwing it out. Then she noticed something on the back. She held it up again. There was something written on it. There was far more written on the back than there was on the front. How typical of Guy, Kia thought. I'm sorry, Kia. I think I'll be going somewhere dangerous today. Watch the place while I'm gone. I'll place a guard on the room. I've made a request of one of Addie's friends, a runner. He'd been told not to disturb you. He'll simply observe and defend from the outside. I've prepared a wireless telecommunications device so you can contact him. If you hear anything suspicious, call the number on this note. I'll see you later today. Guy. I see.
無線型電信通信機。あ、これ小さな糸？
It was a metallic plank. It had been sitting on the desk all morning. What sort of tool was it? She could tell it was probably an engine machine. A telecommunications device this small? Was this made by a scholar? She didn't think that anything so valuable could possibly be in a place like this.
どうやって使うのかしらこれ。見て、音が鳴る。
She tried fiddling with it. Touching the panel's surface produced an odd synthetic noise. She'd pushed a button somewhere without knowing it. The Sekien word for shortwave was written here. Next, she pushed the number 1. Shortwave 1.
つながったみたい。どうしよう。誰につながって。もしもし。
A voice. It came from the other side of the speaker.
ごめんなさい。間違って通信回線を開けてしまって。あれ？あなた、どなた？
Several minutes later.
何なんだ一体突然いきなり緊急回線で繋いできたと思ったら代わりにどっかの誰かの部屋を監視しつつ泥棒来ないか見ててと来た。何なんだあの猫。そもそも誰の部屋だっつんだ。ボロアパルトメントに押し入るやついるか。緊急回線なんざ開いて酒の誘いだと思ったんだよな。暇だぜ。
I have no life. A position from which he could see the whole apartment. One bird holding binoculars. A building used to manufacture engine work desks. Standing on the
そ
roof.
もそもあいつ自身はどこ行ってんだ。電信通信も着信拒否で遊び歩いてんのか。
Where is Addie? The throng on infinitely crowded street. Two silhouettes walk toward the monorail station. Silhouettes of a small girl and a large woman holding her hand. The lower tier citizens around them were wearing oxygen masks on their way to a flea market. Holy, oxygen masks? The smaller shadow staggered, and was nearly swept up by the flow of lower tier citizens, but the large shadow held on to her. Sometime later, they both escaped from the tidal wave of people, not much farther to the monorail station. The line heading directly to the staircase plate.
危ない危ない。よそ見してると飲まれるよ。ごめんなさいアティ。大間によく似た姿の鳥さんがいたから。探せばいくらでもいるさ。まったくもうよそ見が好きなキーや。確かにこれは一人歩きは危ないね。いいわ正解だ。ひどいわ。アティの意地悪を言うの？誰かといれば大丈夫ってことさ。私やキーね。
Yes, sir.
あなたかギーがいればキーヤは大丈夫。どこへだって行けるもの。時と場所は選んでくれると嬉しいな。今日はまあいいんだけどさ。はい、気をつけます。もう言葉は素直なんだから、可愛い子は手に負えない。はーい。やれやれ。
Bro. Addie and Gee are like Ratchet and Clank, bro. I love them together. One of the silhouettes was Addie, the black cat of the city skyscraper. One of the silhouettes was Kia. Well, no crap it was. I know who the silhouettes are. She should have been watching the apartment. It was decided that whenever she came here, Kia had to hold someone's hand. Today that someone was different. It wasn't Gee. Today, Kia held the black cat's fluffy hand.
そういえば、あなたのお友達は？私、ご挨拶がちゃんとできていないの。部屋の護衛のお礼を言わないと。それに、ほら、今はもうキーヤも誰もいないのだし。いいの？全然気にしないでもいいのさ。結局護衛は私が受けてたわけだし、暇だったからつい。
Bro. Bro, Addie doesn't give a crap about David, bro. I know David want that cat to see, bro. Addie says, no, I want Gee, man. I want that Gee bussy. That Gee bussy.
順番があべこべになっただけだから、全然気にしないでもいいのさ。気にしないでいいってこと。さあ、キーヤ、前を向いて。君、行きたいところがあるんでしょ？はい。行きたいところがあるの。
Somewhere I want to go. I want to hear that melody again.
どうしても気になって。
The first upper tier staircase park. Perfectly clear water and overflowing greenery. Kia had come here twice yesterday. The most beautiful place in the city, and the highest place in the lower tiers. You could see the upper tier if you looked upwards. There it was, right behind the other tier plates. The highest tier, which looked like a small castle. It looked small from far away, but it was actually a very large structure. The upper tier, a place I don't like. Many other people like Addie feel the same way.
やれやれだね。度胸があるんだか世間知らずなんだか。子供っていう年でもないかもだけど、一人でこんな遠くまでさ。お散歩っていうにはやや遠いし、まあ行きたいってならしょうがないけど、そもそもキーヤ、どうしてここに。
You know what she's reminding me of? Oh, hold up. Y'all ever played Mario in the music box? You know that cat? That cat at the end of Mario in the music box? whatever, like the arc, whatever the end is called. You know that cat with the two different eyes? I forget what color their eyes are, but remember that? And then that cat, I don't want to spoil it, but like that cat was like it was very significant to the plot of it. I wonder what it means. I wonder what it means to have these two different eyes, like as a cat. Is it like a Japanese like type symbolism type of thing? Like I'm not quite sure. I don't know. But it really just reminded me of the cat from Mario and the Music Box, man. By the way, Kia, why'd you want to come? The black cat looked at Kia, still holding her hand. Her reaction seemed slow. Kia usually responded right away when spoken to. Until now, she'd never just remained silent. Addie looked at the girl's face. She is a mysterious girl. Yes, mysterious. Nothing but mysteries. Even her identity, personal history, and reasons for staying in Guy's place were mysteries. And yet, Addie felt no animosity or malice from her. She accepted Kia because she never felt such things from her. Addie would have come with her even if Guy hadn't told her to. What's she looking at? Her eyes are so serious. Perhaps the secret was hidden behind those eyes. Addie thought about that a little. But for what? For whom? She undoubtedly had a reason for coming here. Before the black cat could look around, her senses of smell and hearing completely and accurately scanned the surroundings. There was a sound, a single melody. The physical abilities of a normal human probably wouldn't have been enough to detect it. But Addie was able to accurately locate it. Her golden right eye wasn't just for show. Addie's sensory organs grasped her surroundings far more accurately than any other Pukel would.
悲しい旋律。そっか。これをキアは聞きに来たの。アティには聞こえる？もちろん。ギーは詳しく聞こえないと言ったの。でも私は聞こえてしまったから、それで気になって。耳がいいね、キア。優秀だよ。都市で生きるにはとっても大切なこと。それとも勘がいいのかな。
The ears atop her head reacted to the melody. They pricked up. Hey yo! They resembled both a cat's and a tiger's. They were the proof of her mutation, the source of Addie's excellent hearing. Kia's ears didn't seem to be mutated, and there was no way she'd amplified her hearing with a crack engine. Her inquisitive stance proved that. Is it just good intuition? I don't think Kia understands it herself. This time, Addie looked down. Around. Down? What the heck? She looked for the source of the sound.
ほら、あそこ。あそこじゃないかな。窓が開いてる。どこ？あそこ。小さな共同住宅が見える？木と木の間にひっそり立ってる住宅。2階建てかな？そんなに大きくはないね。ほら、よく見て。1階の部屋で一つだけ窓が開いてる。
Sorry, I was having a drink of water. That's where the sound's coming from.
見えたわ。女の子が何か弾いてるのかな。見えるよね、キーヤ。
A girl with green hair. I knew it, dog. I knew it. She's playing something. On the other side of the open window.
やっぱりオルガン。エンジン式オルガンだね。丁寧で繊細で綺麗な音。でも。どこか悲しい。
Kia's gaze was fixed straight forward at the girl on the far side of the window. A girl with green hair. Long, beautiful hair like the leaves on the trees. Yep. The girl through the window, she was playing a melody on an organ. Her hair was brighter and clearer than any of the plants filling the park. It almost seemed to be sparkling. If Kia could have seen her face from this angle, she probably would have been unable to look away. Addie's eyes were fixated on the girl just as she thought. Oh my lord. She knew the emotion in the girl's eyes well. Acceptance and mild despair. Mild despair? She immediately knew the reason. Those black veins entwined around her limbs. They weren't twisting around her fingertips yet, so for now, she could still play. Those vines were insubstantial. They passed through the girl's clothes as they twisted around her body. That's a shade of black brought about by a creature. A chill raced up her back. She knew it wasn't contagious, since it hadn't bloomed yet, but still. The girl's playing the organ. She already appeared to have one foot in the grave. Addie understood why the sound was so sad. Acceptance and despair. Disappointment and terror. She could understand even more by listening closely. The awkwardness of the sound and the melody. What was Kia thinking? Surely she couldn't understand it. Kia couldn't even see those black vines because her eyes were closed. She was listening silently to the melody. Kia's expression changed sadly. A common type of cooperative residence. Proof of poverty in the lower tiers. The plants were twisting around walls and table legs, so the residents must have been part of the vegetation filling the park. Any other structure would have easily been broken down by such life force. There definitely were signs of life, though most people would hesitate to believe that. The room was being eroded by plants, but its cleanliness was not that of vegetation, nor was it cleanliness due to superficiality of life. She could easily read the personality of the room's owner. Methodical and cautious. The floor, walls, and desks had all been carefully cleaned. The well-used drawers were polished. However, the owner didn't seem to be in. Addie didn't think the green girl was the owner. The girl sat in the room with a vacant gaze. She was too preoccupied with other things to take care of the place. Her vacant gaze, it was sunken in resignation, yet still hid many other emotions.
あなたたち誰？演奏を聴いてくれてありがとう。でもあなたたちが誰？理由があってそうしていたんでしょ？私のお願いを聞いたんじゃない。私に何のもの？
She beckoned to Addie and Kia, who had been standing beside the window. She beckoned them to come into the room. The girl had noticed them watching. She finished her performance and poked her head out the window.
黙って見ていないで。ここへ上がったらどうなの？
Kia gladly accepted the offer, but it didn't quite feel like the girl was happy to have guests listening to her performance. A wariness, a thoroughly frightened emotion lay in the depths of her eyes. Addie knew it all too well.
ねえ、私たちはただの通りすがりさ。邪魔をしたなら謝るよ。ごめんね。音が聞こえたから聞いていただけで、君のことは知らないよ。そうなの。あなたはどうなの？あなたもこの人と同じことを言うの？キーヤ。私はキーヤというの。名前を言ってくれてありがとう。キーヤさん。良い名前ね。ありがとう。でも、よくある名前だわ。
Oops. Should I have told her my name? The girl's gaze fell only on Kia, the girl who had introduced herself. Addie felt like she made a mistake. She sighed on the inside.
私はドロシー。お願い引きのドロシーウッドスタッフ。キーヤさん、ずっと目を閉じたまま聞いていたわね。聞いていても楽しいものじゃないのに。どうして聞いていたの？綺麗な音だったから。それと、少し気になってしまって。私の気のせいならごめんなさい。でも、 優しく聞こえてしまったから。昨日も今日も。そう。
A faint reaction. A face as if she'd been told the obvious. That aside, Addie thought, she has a noble tattoo engraved on her body. Was she a relative of an upper-tier aristocrat? Noble tattoos were meant to be a special privilege of theirs. But for one of them to be down here, it was incomprehensible.
珍しいもの見ちゃった。この子、貴族崩れなんだ。貴族なのに除花病にかかるの？ノーブルタトゥーは偽物じゃないみたいだけど。
Was she abandoned? Thrown out from the upper tier when her vines manifested?
気分にさせたなら謝るわ。でも仕方ないの。あれが私の音だから。他にはもう出すことはできない。そう。できないの。ええ、そう。もうできないの。キーヤさん、そんな顔をしないで。私の音が鈍いのは別にあなたのせいじゃない。
A slight emotion mixed into her
で
words.
も驚いたわ。感想を言ってくれたのはあなたが初めて。まともな聞いたままの感想ね。最初どこの不審者かと思ったけれど、あなたが違うみたい。あなた音楽が好きなの？キーヤさん。うん、はい、好き。あなたの綺麗な音好きだわ。悲しいところ以外？ええ、悲しく聞こえるのは悲しいから。そう感じる？とても悲しさがわかる。
Her gaze fell to the floor. Ah, so that's it, Addie thought. The girl's emotions had sunk deeply, just like many other hosts who'd lost all that was precious to them. Even so, she hadn't given up. She was still playing the organ. Addie was convinced that she wasn't doing it just to kill time or to take her mind off things. The reason why she played. She said that she'd been playing yesterday. The reason why she kept playing. She can't give up. She can't give up on playing her sound.
聞いても笑わないでね、キーヤさん。おかしな話をするけれど。笑わないわ。うん。私ね、盛況の音楽家たちの曲が好き。大好きだったの。彼らの曲。ライバーハー、モーツァルト、ハイドン。感情や物語が旋律の中に込められていて、私は夢中になって、いつか私もできればいいなって、彼らのようにいろんな感情を込めて。だから嬉しいわ、あなたに私の何かが伝わってくれて。
Her sadness. It certainly would be conveyed to any listener.
嫌な思いをさせてごめんなさい。それでも私は嬉しいの。新しい盛況の曲にはもう出会えない。それでもあなた一人は私のオルガンで何かを感じてくれた。嬉しいわ。ありがとう、キーヤさん。ドロシー、私は何もしていないの。あなたのことを知らない。あなたは嬉しいと言うけど、でもあなたがそう言うとここが苦しくなる。
Kia put her hand against her small chest and continued to stare at Dorothy.
あなたの弾くものは好きよ。でも昨日と今日以外のものも しいの？教えて、ドロシー。
Kia. She doesn't know. She didn't know the meaning behind the darkness warped around the girl's limbs. Death in the form of Aberitis. At that depth, there was no longer any point in giving her artificial limbs. It was already making lethal changes to her very nature. Mysteriously enough, she hadn't been killed yet. The room's owner must have concealed her well. That, or he had some kind of connection. A deep Aberitis host. Normally, she would have been executed under city law. It was incredibly rare for someone to survive this long while evading a death sentence at the hands of upper-tier soldiers. Addie knew she wasn't contagious at this stage, but she still didn't want to get any closer to the girl. She couldn't get any closer.
あなたはきっと幸せに生きてきたのね。見て、私の腕、私の体。体につくつた。見えるわ。これは何？終わりの印。すべて終わらせてしまう。黒いつた。会えてよかった、キアさん。本当に聞いてくれてありがとう。また聞きに来るわ。もっとあなたの音をたくさん知りたい。明日にだって私は同じものしか聞かせてあげられない。それに私はもうダメだから。あさってには無理かもしれない。もうこれは。
Her lips whisper. They're shaking subtly, as if afraid. The modest curtain of night fell. Countless lights were born throughout the city. Night came to the nearby apartments. Its only merit was a relative silence. Addie thought about returning to the storehouse, but she was already at Guy's apartment. So was Kia. The room's surveillance and protection remained entrusted to that boyish bird. She'd understood a little more about Kia today. She was surprised by how little the girl knew. Now Addie was sure she'd feel uneasy if she ever left the girl alone. Let's stick together until Guy returns. She whispered that inside her mouth so that Kia couldn't hear.
ただい
Look at his face! Guy's expression changed before he could even finish.
オキ
おかえりドクター。きちんとお留守番した二人を褒めて。おかえりなさい。
What was that face? That was mad unnatural. I've never seen that before. Oh my god, he wants to kill Addie, bro. Oh, if a guy looked at me like that, if a girl looked at me like that, bro, oh my god, I think she want me dead, bro. I know she'd think I'm scum of the earth. Oh my god, I want to kill that bitch ass. Oh, and I swear, like, oh my god. That's what I'd be thinking if she looked at me like that. Like, no way you just thought that about me. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Think that, thought that, dog, whatever. You know what I mean.
なんでもないのさ。ギー先生はもう夕食は済ませたの？ギアのミートローフは絶品だよ。
Bro, that expression is crazy.
ね、どうしても気になったから。
Her laugh felt dry and forced. She'd wanted to avoid saying they'd gone out, but Kia was such an honest girl. Addie couldn't blame her. She can't stand not telling him about Dorothy. I could see it in her eyes. Addie had already half given up during the long conversation with Dorothy. She was sure it ended that way. She knew Kia would ask him to heal the girl. She'd made a request of this man. This weird cracking doc.
所。
外に出たのかい？
はい。
キーヤ、僕は書き置きを残したね。なんとか。
留守番をって。ごめんなさい。言いつけ破ったわ。
アティがいたからいいものの、都市は君が思うよりも危険だ。決して一人では出歩かないように。
はい。
They were like brother and sister, or perhaps father and daughter. That weird cracking dock was becoming domesticated. Addie nearly laughed but held it in. Even the cat could remember this atmosphere.
それで何かな？僕に話がある顔だね。
そうなの。ギーにお願いがあるの。お金はきっと払うから。アリさんのところで働いて、それできっとお金を。
Hey, yo! No, 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 no.
ダメだ。冗談でもそんなことは言わないこと。
そうそう、やめときなキーや。あんな女のところで働いたら不幸だよ。
アティ。
ごめんなさい。連れて行ったのは私だもの。キーヤを叱らないでやって。ね。
Addie, do you have experience? Do you have experience? Do you have experience at Alyssa's place?
僕に彼女を叱る権利はないよ。預かっているだけだからね。黙って置いていったのはすまなかった。しかし無茶をしないでくれ。それで僕への依頼とは何かな？厄介ごとに巻き込まれたとか？
キーヤに聞いてあげて。厄介事かどうかは何とも言えない。
キーヤ。
Guy's gaze was fixed on Kia, and the girl gazed back at him. Rare things did happen. She wore neither a smile nor that mysterious expression. Kia looked at Guy a little differently from before. Her eyes were pleading, wishing for something.
短い間に随分距離が縮んだね。別に嫉妬してるわけじゃないけどさ。ほんと不思議な子。
You're jealous, man. You're jealous. In truth, she was perfectly aware of her jealousy. Addie shrugged her
ドロ
shoulders.
シーという人がいるの。第一公園の住宅に住んでいる人。とても困っているの。お願いキー。お願い。ドロシーを助けてあげて。きっと病気にかかっているのだと思うから。あなたならきっと助けてあげられる。
微病者か。
Guy's gaze moved to Addie. He desired an explanation. What should she say? Even the phenomenon equation couldn't do everything.
隠しても仕方ないか。言っても誰も損はしないし、上層兵に告げ口なんかしないだろうし。
She was an Aberitus host and a fallen aristocrat. Reporting her would probably net anyone a good deal of cash. However, Addie wouldn't do that. Receiving one-time money had no real meaning. More importantly, she'd never go to the upper tier to report it.
その子、樹化病にかかってるの。進度はかなりのもの。体表にツタがはっきり現出しちゃってる。本人も分かってはいるみたい。
シットさんか。
あれ、何？キー、こんな風な顔するの？
For one moment, Guy had shown the pained expression. In the past, this man's face had always remained calm and composed, no matter the what sort of host. He was desensitized to the infections of others. He'd only grasped the nature of the illness and leave it at that. He even said so himself, but now his expression was clearly warped. Aberitus. Come to think of it, there are those 3 orphans. Those kids Guy supports. I'm pretty sure they caught it too.
そうか。樹化病ともなれば厄介だな。開花は近いのかい？
見る限りはまだみたい。でも本人は近いと思ってるかも。
いつだと言っていた？
明日は大丈夫だって。明後日にはもうここにはいないって。
進度が進みすぎている。それではクラッキングでも手に負えないな。
ギー、アティ、何の話をしてるの？
その子の病気の話だよ。精神の衰弱は樹化を激しく進行させる。諦めたのならもうそれで終わりだ。残念だがね。
Yes, it's already over. Yoki's seeds are fed by the human soul. The 41 creatures that scattered calamities across the city. One of them was Yuki Blood Tree, the source of Apparitus. It multiplied to no end, eating away at the heart and body and eventually bursting out of its living hosts. If discovered in its early stages, it could be dealt with, like he'd done for Parole, Lupo, and Poland. Still, that didn't solve the fundamental problem. Apparitus changed a person's way of being. It was a mutation of one's very nature. Infected arms and feet could be replaced with engine limbs, but if seeds of its core existence that had already invaded them, then vines would eventually devour their bodies.
言った通りだ。悪いが僕にできることはない。
ギー、でもあの人苦しんでいるの。
できることはない。僕は今そう言ったはずだよ。
His voice is cold.
そんな言い方しなくてもいいじゃない。ギー、いつもと反応違うよ。
違わない。
もしかして何かあるの？君、樹化病に特別な思い出でも？
僕は事実を言っている。それだけだ。深度の進んだ樹化病にはクラックも無意味。ただそれだけのことだよ。余計な詮索はやめてくれ。
あれ？なんでこんな反応なのさ。躍起になって3人の子供とか世話して少ないシリング費やしてるのにさ。変だ。これじゃまるで普通の仮想民。ギーじゃないみたい。
Addie thought of a question. She opened her lips to ask him, but the words wouldn't come out. Not after she saw Guy's expression. Oh, jeez. I don't know what happened, man.
話しかけるの何も聞くなって。君、そういう顔もできるんだ。そう。そうなの。
A very normal reaction for anyone other than Guy. He wouldn't expend money and labor on something he knew to be hopeless. Most of the people living in the lower tiers would have had the same reaction. Addie knew that well. She often had to make decisions like these herself, without letting her emotions show, but this is Guy, the weirdo, no one else. He continued his unlucrative travels day after day and was always poor despite being an equation user. And yet he wouldn't stop walking around the lower tiers. He was always traveling as if refusing to give up on something. So what was with that expression? That posture? Those cold words?
わかった。帰る。
Going home to where? I have no fixed place to sleep.
やめて。そんな風にアティに言わないで。言いつけを破ったのはキーヤなのに。
A white hand grabbed onto Guy's reconstructed cloak, strongly as if condemning him. Addie had already started to leave, but stopped when she noticed something was wrong.
僕は事実を言っただけだよ、キーヤ。アティがどうかは関係ない。
やめて。
何をだい？
そう。わかったわ。ギーがそんなにアティに意地悪するなら、 一緒に寝させてあげませんか。
Huh? What?
今夜はアティがキーアと寝ます。同じベッドで。
What? What did she... Huh? What does that mean?
そうか。
いや、そうかじゃなくて。
Huh?
話をしてるのキア。
That's what I'm saying.
こんなに冷たいキーのことは放って。
Hey, yo! That's what I'm saying. Why? Why did this suddenly... Addie just wasn't prepared for her to say something like that so suddenly. Addie just wasn't ready for it. She couldn't understand Kia's logic. While she was hesitating, something tugged at her hand. Together, they rushed up to the second floor, toward the bed and right into it. Then those pink eyes gazed at her intently. Huh? Aww.
こういうことでいいの？ふかふかでしょ。お昼前にお外で干しておいたから。あれ？どうしたのアーティ？びっくりした顔をしてるわ。まあそうよね。びっくりした。普通はこうだものね。何か？いいのいいの。いいから。こっちの話だ。いいんだってば、黙っておやすみ。夜更かしが過ぎるといい女になれないさ。
A guest bed. It wasn't made for two adults to sleep in, but the sheets and blanket were much better than those in a cheap apartment. She lay down with Kia. She felt the slender girl's warmth beside
仲
her.
のいい姉妹のよう。それともまさか母と娘？冗談。
Kia really said, okay, if you're gonna be stubborn like that, I'm taking your pussy. I'm taking your pussy. Like, no way. I'm taking your cat tussie. I'm taking your cat tussie tonight. You better learn. You're not getting your cat tussie. No. No way. Oh my god, I'm so weird, bruh. Addie looked at the girl beside her. The pink eyes gazed toward her intently. Those big eyes were reflected by her own golden eye. She was trying to say something. Addie noticed that and realized. That must have been why she stopped her from going home. Kia. The girl who gazed at Gi. Oh my god. Her pink gaze followed the man. That was why she felt so surprised. She thought Kia had no interest in her.
しかもあのタイミングでさ、私を。アッティ、何？あなたに一つお願いがあるの。あ、黒猫さんに依頼があるのよ。依頼じゃないとダメだって聞いたから。
Yo, type 1 in the chat if you want to be Kia right now, bro. I need to stop, bro. A request. A slightly weird pronunciation. That probably had to do with where the mysterious girl had been raised. Or was the word just that crude? A request. That was the way contracts were made with the black cat. But for this girl to... Addie thought it was a strange subject. Quite strange. She'd had requests from even younger children before. And yet she wondered why her. It doesn't suit her at all. Kia, a mysterious girl. Her life had nothing to do with runners. Addie could tell that from her face and eyes, but... She couldn't hear Kia's whispering voice. Addie cleared her ears and listened. Her hearing was sharper now that when... Oh my god. Her hearing was sharper now than when she was human.
そうなの？ダメ？薄赤色の瞳はまっすぐ真剣な様子で私を見つめる。ダメじゃないけどさ、別にさっきだって嫌ったわけじゃないし、ギーやアナルと話しかけても返さないし、一緒にいても意味ないなって思っただけで、嫌いとかどうとかじゃないのさ。よかった。
Kia smiled while heaving a sigh of relief. I was just so surprised. Her request was, don't grow to hate him.
じゃあ約束ね。ギーのことを嫌いにならないで。もうそんなに機嫌のいい笑顔をされたら。ずいぶんこだわるね、依頼にさ。いいけど別に。高いからね、私の依頼料は。頑張って払います。でもちょっとだけ待って。ダメ、待てない。そう、待たないからね。明日の朝には用意して。たまには卵は茹でたやつもいいかしら。できれば半熟で。
That's cute. That's cute. I like this. I like this a lot.
用意できない？依頼料。用意するわ。ありがとうアティ、大好き。そっか、大好きか。照れるね。ね、それじゃあまだ何か？いいよ、何でも言ってごらんよ。じゃあもう一つだけお願いしてもいい？依頼、明日の朝食もつけるから。あれれ、追加依頼？わかった、私の負け。意外とたくましい女だね、キーヤ。本当に可愛い顔してさ、無防備な笑顔を振りまいちゃって。嫌いじゃないけどさ。
Inner voices. Perfect time to save here. They're like a family. They're honestly like a family. That's really cute. Alright. Inner voices. Time for some character monologue. Alright, let's get it.
機械使い。その噂のほとんどは英雄的人物を示す。いわく伝説の腕前を持つランナーであるとか、いわくハイネスエージェントであるとか。中でも信憑性の高いものは、かつてのクリッター討伐に関わった人物。ストリートナイト。都市最強最速を歌われた路地の騎士。全身にクラックエンジンを埋め込んだエンジンヒューマン。事実かどうかはわからない、僕には。だが僕は機械使いを知っている。一度だけ見たことがある。この10年間に一度だけ目にしたことがある。大蛇のモンスターであるナーガを切り裂く影。背後に黒いものを従えた一人の男。男の背後の影、すなわち機械は大蛇を容易に破壊した。上層兵の撃つ無数の銃弾に耐えたそれを。クリッターにさえ及ぶと呼ばれたナーガをいとも簡単に、無造作に。そして男は笑っていたのだ。返り血を浴びて。ケルカン。男の名を僕は知っている。男はかつて都市法の執行官だった。幾人幾百人もの命を奪った男だ。きっと今も。幼樹。それは 人の精神と肉体を侵食する異形、恐るべきクリッター、ブラッドツリー。僕は記憶している。人に取り付く死の種子。それはやがて育ちきって人を殺す。僕は149例を目にしてきた。僕は149人を救えなかった。今までに149人。僕、存在の形質変異を引き起こす病に対して肉体を置換修復するクラッキングは通じない。何もできなかった。クラッキングによる肉体の正常化とクラックエンジンへの置き換えによる切り離し、それだけが唯一の対処法だ。パルたちのように、それ以外には何をすることもできない。肉体を侵食する種子を取り払っても精神に根ざした種子は拭えない。やがて精神の根幹が侵食されて絶望だけが残った時に育ちきった芽は弾けるのだ。今までに149人、僕は救えなかったのだ。おぼろげな記憶がある。クリッター、ブラッドツリーに関する記憶。確かそれは10年前のこと。復活から1ヶ月の間に起きたこと。あの地獄の日々の一幕だ。他のクリッターと同じくブラッドツリーは仮想へと出現していた。そしてあの黒き死を無数に巻き続けた。その時にブラッドツリーの活動傾向にはとある特徴があったと僕はおぼろげに記憶している。それはある特定の人間に対しての反応だ。ブラッドツリーは過剰反応を示していた。特定の人間。そう、確か聖教の。
Well, no wonder he didn't even give it a second thought. The Aberitis, what's her name? The Aberitis case with green-haired girl. I forget her name, but I mean, he just thinks it's hopeless. 149 cases, and he couldn't save them. He's tried. He's tried and tried and tried, and at this point, he's just done. That makes sense. Alright, scene 2. This is Kia's point of view, Kia's inner thoughts. Let's go.
音楽は大好き。私は楽器を弾けないけれど、聴くのは好き。演奏会も大好き。聖教の曲が好き。バイオリンの音が好きなの。ピアノもオルガンも好き。教会音楽というのも好き。迫力があって荘厳な響き。歌も好き。歌なら少しはできる。あの子のオルガンに合わせて歌ってみたい。頑張らないと無理だけれど、綺麗な音色になるような気がする。でもあの子は誰にも聞かせてはくれない。綺麗なオルガンを。スミスさんにさえ。上層のことはよく知らない。貴族が住んでいるのだとか。
Smith-san. That's a funny way of wait, who's Smith? I don't wait. Who's Smith? Dog. Whatever. Whatever.
一番偉い大公爵様が住んでいるとそう聞くけれど、貴族という人たちも大公爵様も私は見たことがない。 どんな人たちなのだろう。王様なんておとぎ話の中くらいで。そうギーに言ったら笑われた。少し悔しい。私が冗談を言っていると彼は言った。何を指してそう言うのかはわからない。ともかくギーの言葉を借りるなら、上層は気持ちの良い場所ではないって。行くことはできないし、行っても何も得られるものはない。嫌な場所。ギーがそう言っているように私には聞こえた。ドロシー、あなたの旋律はとっても綺麗。でも聞いていると悲しくなるの。わかるよね。あなたがどう思って弾いているのかわからないけれど伝わる。ドロシー、お願い、絶望しないで。あなたが絶望している分だけ鍵盤から響く音は悲しさに満ちる。その音はきっとあなたをもっと絶望させるから。
So, Guy really thinks that Kia is from the upper tiers. He has no doubt in his mind. I don't know why he didn't connect the dots yet, but I don't know where she came from, but it definitely wasn't from Inganock. No way. Scene 3. This is from Addie's thoughts.
貴族たちは嘘をついている。
Never mind. This is Dorothy. Okay.
都市インガノックを支配する上層貴族。彼らは皆嘘をついている。上層貴族の証であるノーブルタトゥー。私の体にも彫り込まれている。それは嘘の塊でしかない。クリッタンや幻想生物などがもたらす未知の病を完全に防ぐだなんて嘘。こんなものただの気休めに過ぎない。貴族たちは嘘をついている。貴族の生命は何よりも優先されると彼らは言うけれど、本当は違う。気休めに過ぎないノーブルタトゥーが効かずに異形の病に利病した者がいたら、彼らはすぐさま殺そうとする。都市法にのっとって利病者を出した一族ごと処刑されてしまう。だから私は捨てられた。父様と母様に。壊れたおもちゃを捨てるように簡単に上層から投げ捨てられて。そして私は彼に拾われた。でも彼も嘘をついてる。私の周りは嘘ばかり。それなのに彼は私にこう言うの。大丈夫、君はオルガンを弾いていなさい。そういうの。嘘つき。私は知っている。彼が仮想民の中でも浮いた存在であって、ろくに仕事を得られない身であることを。彼は正教人だから、少なからず仮想でも差別される。それさえも、彼は私に言おうとはしない。私は、どうすればいいの？オルガンを弾くだけで他には何を？蝕まれていく自分を感じる以外何よ。私は今日も鍵盤を弾く。音を奏でる。けれど私は、不安でたまらない。心が壊れてしまう。侵食していく幼児から目をそらせない。毎朝起きるたびに、水浴びをするたび、私は私の体を見てしまう。怖い。私はどうなるの？誰か教えて。どうすればいいのか。何をして生きることを肯定すればいい？私に教えて。
Okay. That makes sense. Scene 4. I'm guessing this is Addie.
機械使い。
Who the heck is this? Huh? Oh, is this the guy? Is this the guy Guy talked about? The Kikai user that Guy talked about? That sliced that snake in half?
それは俺だ。この俺。かつては都市法の執行官として仮想にあまたの死をもたらしたこの俺だ。やっていることは変わらねえさ。俺は殺すだけだ。世間じゃ美しいものだなんだと大層な理屈をつけちゃいるが、機械は力だ。それ以外の何でもない。俺たちはそれを振るうために選ばれた。命を奪い取り殺すためだけの力だ。あいつらは、機械はそれだけの存在だ。少なくともこの俺にとってはそうだ。俺以外の機械使いの場合も大して変わるもんじゃない。あいつらは俺の獲物だ。出会えば必ず殺す。
What the hell? Huh. Bro was like, if I meet one, it's on sights. Like, damn, bro. He wants to be the only one who has Kikai, bro. No way. He wants to be the god of this world.
クラッキング使い。それにクラッキング。
Oh no.
この俺もクラッキングはいくらか使う。もっとも破壊専門だがな。クラッキング毒。せっかく脳に刻み込んだ理論をクラッキングを仮に変える連中。奴らの数は多くない。数少ない連中のほとんどは上層お抱えの御殿以下、第一層第二層の起業家どもにひっついてシリングを吸う。金の亡者だ。力が何かも分かっちゃいねえ。
What is wrong with this guy, bro?
気に入らねえ。
Oh my god.
中でも一番気に入らねえのは
Oh my god, this voice actor is so good.
ただ同然でそれを使う巡回医師だ。
Oh my god.
てめえだよドクターギー。
Oh god, no. He's
クソより匂う偽善をいつまで続ける。
Are you good? What hypocrisy? What's hypocritical about that? Are you saying that because like he does it for free, but he also does it for money, so it's hypocritical?
俺の頭に残る記憶。そいつがささやくんだ。いつも俺の耳元で。まさかとは思うが、機械の声なのか、こいつの記憶なのか。事実は俺も知らない。ただ、俺はそいつを思い出すだけだ。41。それはクリッターと同じ数だ。その数字、それが俺の頭に浮かぶ。あの光景、いつも俺の頭に浮かぶ。俺にはわかる。それは10年前のあれだ。俺は覚えているのか、それとも記憶を植え付けられているのか。どっちでも構いはしねえが。41。俺はただ殺すだけだ。その果てで待っているものを目指して。
That voice actor was in the stew. Oh my god. So he wants to be, from what I gather, from what I'm assuming, he wants to get rid of all the competition. He wants to be the god of this world, pretty much. I bet. Scene 5. Hold on. Alright. About Sekiens and creatures. Some information was recorded about the 41 creatures. 10 years ago, they materialized and started killing off a subset of the city's population. A subset of humans. Namely, Sekuyans and their descendants. It's said that the creatures persistently sought them out until they devoured all of them and their terror. Their number isn't recorded, but it was probably less than 100. And after that, the creatures turned their fangs toward other humans. That's the recorded information. But the truth is different. Only a certain kind of creature reacted to Sekuyans and their descendants. The large creature which creates endless duplicates of itself. Its name is Blood Tree. A large creature which attacks people simply by breeding. What? Breeding who? The people? What? About creature Blood Tree. It was given the name of a vampiric plant from the southern sea with similar characteristics. It's the only creature out of all 41 which can breed. Colloquially, it's often called yoki, which often means bewitching tree. Those vines constructed of undulating blacks and reds. I never heard of undulating before. They're spotted within the city's lower tiers from time to time. It was disgusting, but somewhat illusory, and was said to hold a certain beauty. However, that's just what produces the seeds. It isn't the creature's main body. Sightings of Blood Tree's main body ended 10 years ago. The only thing ever witnessed in the lower tiers came from the seeds that Blood Tree's main body once scattered. It stayed hidden for all this time. This creature produces false bodies of itself through either reproductive division or seed scattering. The seeds scattered when it appeared 10 years ago are floating as dormant particles in the city's lower tiers. They possess anyone with weakened vitality, young or old. Then they suck out their host's nutrition, grow by stealing the mind and body, and eventually burst apart, scattering more seeds at the moment of death. But in most cases, enforcers of city law kill the hosts before that can happen. This creature is the most famous in the city's lower tiers, and it has produced the most casualties. It does nothing but grow until its host dies, but if anyone tries to cut it off, the vines will attack. About aberitis. Technically, it isn't a disease. It refers to a condition inflicted by creature Blood Tree's seeds of death. People's bodies are brought down over the course of a few years as it eats away at the mind, steals the body away with vines, and kills the host. It's been reported that implantation of crack engines or the phenomenon equation could extend one's life somewhat. City law states that aberitis hosts are to be eliminated. In other words, executed. Most of the time, the people of the lower tiers hide their aberitis with artificial crack engine limbs, while fearing the death that's sure to come for them. Inner voices. Okay. Scene 6. Crack engines and healing. At present, runners, drug gangs, and upper-tier soldiers all own crack engines. They give a strong impression of heightened battle strength. They were originally developed as artificial limbs for medical purposes. Those machines were meant to make up for lost bodily functions without being rejected or overburdening the body. In the lower tiers, victims of accidents, creatures attacks, mutations, or other strange diseases very often have these. Most medical crack engines would be highly priced were they genuine upper tier approved goods. Therefore, the people of the lower tiers obtain cheap, illegal crack engines from back alley doctors and markets. Although it's a wide open secret, it's said that there are enough... Oh, hold on. It said there are engine factories which mass produce cheap crack engines for lower tiers. Unlike genuine ones, they're very likely to be rejected or overburden the user. The city's upper tier maintains its silence on this matter. About the upper tier aristocrat protection policy. Mutating illnesses run rampant in the city. The medical view states there is no way to avoid the diseases which cause one's body to change into a fantastic mutant. In the lower tiers, there's a superstition that wearing oxygen masks is an effective defense, though there's no basis for that. It's said that the upper tier uses a more realistic approach. I thought the oxygen masks was because of the smog in the city. I thought it was because of that, not because of the I didn't know there was a superstition about that. The noble tattoos engraved into the upper tier aristocrat's skin. In a sense, they're also proof of aristocracy. Equation patterns based on the phenomenon equation. Hold on. That's a realistic approach? They're said to be an impenetrable defense against body warping mutations. The people of the lower tiers envy the tattoos. They often ask to be engraved themselves. However, the upper tier announced that it was simply performing a human experiment. The controllers, the upper tier aristocrats, were using their own bodies as test subjects, so that they could ensure it was safe. They said the tattoos would eventually be passed on to the lower tiers. There are those who believe those words, and there are those who didn't. Among the aristocrats, the system for engraving these tattoos is called the upper tier aristocrat protection policy. Whether they're really human test subjects or not is clear after a single glance at that name. I can hear it. I can hear your voice. Your regret reaches me. The 149 people lost. Those are all bad memories for you. However, I can see what you see. Do you really see them as bad memories? Have you given up? Huh. Alright. Let's save here. Where does it bring us? Okay. Huh. It struggles a bit to save when there's music playing in the background, I guess, right? At least I have a backup save. That's good. That's good. I'm probably going to end off here. I think this is like the sweet spot of time for my episodes. And now we're in 50 minutes. It might have froze, which is fine because I have a backup save. But I don't know. Let's see. Or you know what? We don't even need to see the results of this. I'm going to end the episode off here. If it crashes, whatever. If it doesn't, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting stuff. So, I forgot to mention this. Sekien no Inganock, this visual novel, reported by the visual novel database, is around 20 hours. So, I wouldn't say we're quite halfway yet, but maybe like a third of the way. So, it's interesting. I do wonder how this will end. Yeah, probably froze. That's fine. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next episode. I'm out of here. I'm probably going to go to sleep. Hell yeah. Peace, man.